Let's talk about something that almost no one in America seems to notice, and yet everyone feels. The silence, the standstill, the uneasy sense that something vital has stopped working in our government and nobody can quite say when or how it happened. Now, in my opinion, that silence begins with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, and it ends with the one thing that terrifies powerful people across the globe, the potential release of the Epstein files. Because one swearing in, just one vote stands between the American people and a moment of truth that could shake the world. And that vote has been frozen deliberately. Right now, the Speaker of the House is refusing to seat a duly elected member of Congress. Her name is Adelita Grijalva. And until she is sworn in, the House remains one vote short of 218, the exact number needed to unlock subpoena power, force committee action, and compel the release of documents that include the Epstein files. Mike Johnson says she'll be sworn in when the government reopens, but he also controls when that happens.
The Democrats are required to open the government. They keep saying Republicans are in charge of government. We aren't.
Republicans in the House and Senate have a mandate, it's true. It was a decisive win across the nation.
All that time spent talking about mandates and never needing to heed another Democratic voice again, and yet now, suddenly, they're just small little beans, just poor innocent little Republicans who actually have no control, no power.
There was an exception for 2 Floridians earlier in this Congress, but the reason was they were duly elected, they had a date set, they flew in all their friends and family, and the House went out of session.
So if she flies in friends and family, then
we don't have a date set.
So what looks like a scheduling issue becomes a firewall. This isn't about politics, it's about protection, and I believe that protection extends far beyond any one man or party. There's something inside those files that's radioactive, something that powerful people, not just in America, do not want to see the light of day. And here's where the cognitive dissonance begins. We say we want truth, but we reward the people who hide it. We say we hate corruption, but we justify it when it serves our team. We say we're a nation of laws, but we cheer when those laws are bent as long as they hurt someone else. That's how cognitive dissonance works. It's not just a political blind spot, it's an emotional one. We can't hold 2 truths at once, so we cling to whatever feels safer. Right now, America's safe story is that the government will reopen, Congress will get back to work, and democracy will carry on. But deep down, we know something's off. We can feel it. Because it's been weeks, and the House of Representatives has not been in session. Not one pro forma meeting, not one committee hearing, not one public vote. It's as if the People's House no longer exists. When the House doesn't meet, committees can't issue subpoenas. Whistleblowers have nowhere to go. Oversight, the heartbeat of accountability, flatlines. Without that oversight, the executive branch, any administration, regardless of party, acts unchecked. No questioning, no consequences. And the Speaker alone decides when Congress is allowed to exist again. That is not oversight. That's autocracy by recess. And here's where it gets darker. When Congress is out of session, the Epstein files stay sealed. The subpoena authority to release them stays frozen. And the people who fear those files the most breathe a little easier. I've been thinking and talking about this for a while, and I can't shake the feeling that this isn't just a political crisis, it's a spiritual one. We're watching a kind of moral paralysis. We see the corruption. We know it's there. But we tell ourselves it's too complicated, too messy, too partisan to deal with. That's the essence of cognitive dissonance, seeing the truth and pretending not to. It's the same psychology that lets people worship a public figure while ignoring everything about him that violates their own values. And it's how entire nations end up justifying the unjustifiable. When I look at Mike Johnson refusing to bring the House back into session, I don't see strategy, I see denial. Our national denial embodied in one man's calendar. We keep thinking of coups as something that happens with tanks and soldiers and flagpoles. But the quiet ones are procedural. The subtle ones happen on paper, when a speaker simply doesn't call the House back. Without a session, there's no schedule. Without a schedule, there's no accountability. And without accountability, democracy is a show set in an empty theater. Everything looks normal on the outside. Members still post on social media. Staff still answer phones. Cable news still pretends the House exists. But it's a hologram, a projection. Behind that curtain, it's empty. Every administration, every party, every capital city in the world has a stake in making sure these files never fully surface, because if they do, the illusion of integrity collapses overnight. And yet, no one in America on either side of the aisle wants to believe that their government would protect predators. That's another layer of cognitive dissonance. We tell ourselves that can't happen here, but it is happening here, and it's happening right now. I'm reading Virginia Jeffrey's book, Nobody's Girl, which tells the story of one survivor in her own words. And I'll be sharing my take on it, what I see, what I sense, and what connects to this moment in history. Because I believe deeply that understanding her story is part of understanding what's being buried. Not just files, but truth. Look at the pattern. We have a speaker who refuses to call the House into session, a government that's technically shut down but practically paralyzed, and a people so exhausted by division that we barely notice. That's the final stage of cognitive dissonance. When you're so numb to chaos that silence feels normal. And yet, something in all of us still senses that this is not normal, that this moment matters. Because when one man's calendar can freeze democracy, we've already crossed a line the founders warned us never to cross. The founders designed the House to be the people's weapon against tyranny, directly elected, constantly accountable, and always, always in session. The heartbeat of democracy. When that heartbeat stops, power doesn't just shift, it concentrates. And concentrated power never stays benevolent for long. So what now? What do we do when the machinery of democracy has been quietly unplugged? First, we look. We keep our eyes open. We resist the comfort of pretending everything's fine because everything is not. Second, we talk about it. We don't let silence become complicity. And third, we keep the pressure where it belongs on the people who are freezing our government in place while shielding secrets that could change everything. This isn't about conspiracy. It's about accountability. It's about the people's right to see what's behind the curtain. And as long as I have this platform, I'm going to keep pulling that curtain back because no one I know, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or apolitical, wants to live in a country that shelters pedophiles. No one I know wants truth hidden behind political games, and no one I know believes that democracy can survive if the people's representatives are locked out of their own chamber. So as we sit here in this strange pause, this legislative coma, remember silence is not peace, it's paralysis. And the longer it lasts, the harder it will be to restart the heartbeat of our republic. This is not hopeless, but it is a wake-up call. I'm Betsy Jordan. And this is Behind the Curtain IMO. Stay tuned, because very soon I'll be reading from Nobody's Girl and connecting more of the dots that so many people in power are desperate to erase. Until then, keep your eyes open and keep looking behind the curtain. Thank you for being here.